Here are a couple of clear glass carboys. I fill them with pebbles and just use them as ornaments in the garden. We've got some green glass ones as well. I just think they look good in amongst the plants, just something a bit different and quirky. But today I'm actually going to take one of these carboys and I'm going to repurpose it and change it into an indoor garden or a bottle garden or a terrarium. So I've brought one of the carboys up to the greenhouse ready for planting. I've tipped the stones out and given it a bit of a wash, and then I'm going to put in the planting medium. So what I've got here, I've got a mixture of three things. We've got some grit here. Now you could use horticultural grit. I'm actually using grey granite harling chips, which we sometimes substitute for horticultural grit because we can't get it, but these are readily available from the builder's merchant. And then I've got a loam-based compost, and then just ordinary multi-purpose compost. What I'll do is I'll put the grit in the bottom, and then I'll do a mixture of 1 part grit, 1 part compost and 1 part loam-based compost for the planting medium. And then here I've got a selection of plants, really nice colourful ones. So I'm just taking some grit and filling up the base to about 2 inches from the bottom. Then got a mixture of my compost that I'm also going to put in. Again, you don't need to fill the jar to the top. We're aiming for the soil to come about 1/3 of the way up the side of the jar. So I've put in one of the plants here, and I'm just going to scrape back a hole with my hand and put the next one in. It doesn't need to be planted. In fact, you can feel the grit just underneath it. You can see through the condensation on the glass. So I'll carry on planting the rest of those. So I've finished planting up the carboy with the plants. We've got 3 Photoneas and a Pilea. The Photoneas are the ones with the coloured foliage, and the Pilea is the one with the silver veining on the leaves. None of them grow terribly big and can be kept in bounds just by nipping the tips back periodically, so they're ideal for planting into a terrarium. Ideally you would have mixed some charcoal in the compost to keep it sweet, but I don't have any. But by putting the grit in with it, it should keep it free draining. I'll make sure that I don't overwater it at all. The compost doesn't need any food in it because you want these plants to stay small. You don't want them to grow big and lush and end up bursting out the top of the jar. So again, the grit helps by cutting down on the amount of nutrients in the compost. What I'm actually going to do next is some of the stones that were in it out in the garden. I'm going to place those in the centre just there, so that when I water, I can dribble water onto these pebbles in the middle rather than directly onto the compost. And so by doing that, it stops the compost splashing up onto the leaves of the plants. With a lot of terrariums, you can actually seal the top with a lid or some cling film, and it should remain a self-sustaining little ecosystem, just with the condensation dripping down and watering the compost again. But just to start off with, I'm going to keep this open and see how it goes, and then we'll take it from there. If you're self-isolating like we are, you probably struggle to find these plants. But I'll give you a tip. Try going online to reptile centres, the type that sell vivariums and snake food and things like that. They don't just sell plastic plants for their vivariums, they also sell live plants, and that's where I got these from. I tried quite a few of the houseplant suppliers, but all they were selling were enormous rubber plants and cheese plants and things like that. But the reptile centres all had a good selection of these. Okay, hope you have a go with this yourselves. Enjoy!